Good afternoon. My name is Veronica Manson and I'm the director of the Istituto Italiano di Cultura di Toronto. Welcome to this virtual inauguration of the Giornata del Contemporaneo, the Day of Contemporary Italian Art, worldwide. The Giornata del Contemporaneo is organized every year by AMACI, the Association of Contemporary Art Museums in Italy, in collaboration with the Ministero degli Affari Esteri. For this occasion, the Istituto is presenting the work Senza titolo, progetto, sassaia by Giacomo Segantin, who is the winner of the Cantica 21 Under 35 projects. Stay with us, we'll unveil his artwork in a few seconds, and then we'll be live during our webinar, and we'll have the opportunity to meet Giacomo and talk about his art. Thank you. Cantica 21 is a platform aimed at the promotion of new Italian contemporary artistic creativity. The scope or the mission of Cantica 21 was not only to support emerging and already established artists during the COVID pandemic, but also to participate in the year-long series of celebrations for the 700th anniversary of Dante Alighieri's passing, hence the title Cantica. Through a public call, 40 Italian artists, 20 under the age of 35 and 20 over the age of 35, were selected last summer, and they were commissioned to create an original unpublished work, as well as 5 other works destined for a special Dante exhibition. Each work of art, each piece, then was acquired by an Italian museum, and before becoming part of their permanent collection, it would be part of a traveling exhibition abroad through the network of all the Italian cultural institutes worldwide. Each institute will host one of the 40 artworks, creating therefore a large, widespread exhibition of Italian contemporary art. To check and visit all 40 artworks of the Cantica 21 project, feel free to visit the website www.cantica21.it. Good afternoon, my name is Veronica Manson. Thank you for being with us today to celebrate the Giornata del Contemporaneo, which is the International Day of Italian Contemporary Art. We have the pleasure and the honor to have the artist Giacomo Segantin with us because he participated in a very interesting project, as you probably have noticed by watching the brief video that was screened just a few seconds ago. He is the winner of Cantica 21 Under 35. So he's one of the 20 winners of this very interesting project that was launched by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture. Giacomo, he's live with us from Italy, from Veneto. Welcome to the Istituto Italiano di Cultura. Welcome to Cantica 21 and Giornata del Contemporaneo. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning to everyone. I am Giacomo. I'm 26, and I would like to say just a few words to introduce myself. I studied painting in the Academy of Fine Arts in Verona, and then I moved to Venice for 1-year residency program at the Bevilacqua La Masa Foundation. Actually, I'm studying at NABA, and I live and work here in Milan. I would like to thank a lot Veronica and all the people who work for this project. I'm very proud to be here. It's a great chance for me, and thank you all. I would like to say just a few words about my artistic practice. I define myself like a sculptor, but personally I don't like the subdivision in category of artist practice or art in general. I like to think in a more flexible way, and I love the interconnection between different files of knowledge and the intersection about different media. Maybe I could share my screen to share with you a short presentation. Okay, the title is without title, Progetto Sassaia, and maybe a translation could be a project made in a detrital fan, and it's a project developed during a residency named Progetto Borca in the ex-Ani village in the Dolomites. The ex-Ani village is resort built at the end of the 50s by the architect Edoardo Gellner, and it was commissioned by Enrico Mattei, who was the president of Ani at the time. And this was a touristic village and was built for the Ani employee who could spend 2 weeks vacation here for free with their family. So the village was used till the end of the 19th and then was abandoned. In those places, from 7 years, Dolomiti Contemporanee, which is a project, a cultural project, is trying to bring back life in those incredible spaces through cultural and artistic project. So I would like to start with a quote of Edoardo Gellner, who is the architect, because here in this quote there is the main topics of this project. What do we mean by the word landscape? While you might first think of untouched nature, truly natural environments almost no longer exist. Anywhere humans have gone, they have changed the natural environment, cutting down woods and forests, growing crops and building settlements. Thus, when we talk of the landscape, we must intend the natural environment superimposed by human intervention. Natural environment plus human intervention, it's landscape. So here we could understand the approach and the way of thinking of the architect who involved the natural environment and especially the natural dynamics inside the project. And this is very interesting for me because it means that there is a sensibility and a very long sight in the project. Those are some historical pictures of the village. Here we could see the children's camp, and it's the main important building complex. And behind those, we could see the villas that are designated for families. And above all, we could see the tidal fan that is running through the village. This is some picture of the village now. This is the children's camp. This is a villa. And this is an historical photo from the 1954. And it was made before the construction of the village. It's very interesting for me, the sensibility of the architect, because he chose this landscape and it was uncomfortable because it was a very rocky place without trees, and he chose these places because of because it was well exposed to the sunlight, and it has a strategic logistic position because it's very close to the main road that brings to Cortina, that is maybe the most famous places in the Dolomites. And it's very interesting for me because somehow he give the chance to the trees and to build a more complex environment. He transplant clots of earth from 20 years to create a more complex ecology. It's not just giving the chance to the trees to grow, but it's a very interesting deep relation with the landscape. And he also it was a way also to improve the stability of the soil. And he has a very deep sensibility also in the impact of the landscape. It's very interesting for me to make a comparison between those pictures and the first one. Here we could see the growing roots, and here we could see the village at night that it's disappeared inside the woods. And here we come at one very important place for me, because here I work, and I decided to work here because it has a key role in all the project, because it's a place in which the natural dynamics and the human intervention is just one thing. Here we could see some barriers made by the Protezione Civile, who is a national association who take care about the security of the landscape and the territory. The detrital fan, in fact, is very dangerous, especially in rainy period, because here flows a lot of rocks and mud, and it could be very dangerous. And for me, it's very interesting to see the relation between human and natural dynamics. So I decided to work here. I decided to create a kind of installation that tries to describe the complex, the stratification of this landscape. And here we have some picture. It was not easy to work there. It was a very uncomfortable place. And I decided to work with local materials and organic materials in respect of the environment, but also trying to avoid the consumistic approach to buying stuff, using them for a short period and then becoming waste very soon. So I used dried and pulverized leaves. This is the texture of the result. And I made this kind of line that it's a line, I like thinking that it's a line that takes its meaning in the moment the lines disappear. It's long, about 10 meters, and of course it's a very ephemeral intervention. It lasts like several hours, like 2 or 3 hours, and this is the result because of the wind. And here we could see the line destroyed by the wind. This is those are some picture of documentation of the work. This is the picture I choose because for me it has the strong impact between the ephemeral intervention and the stratification of the soil, and it's a very interesting portrait also of the landscape in relation to the Eduardo Gellner approach. And here, this is the last picture. We could see the relation between the work and the landscape. It's very funny. Somebody told me that it seems to be like a paint, a graffiti on this kind of rocks. And it's very interesting for me because it's a sign, but it is not a permanent sign, and is strong because it disappears.
Thank you, Giacomo. Very interesting. I do actually have a few questions. First of all, you, as you said, the nature of your artwork is very ephemeral. And so it's meant basically not to last. And why this choice? So you created this artwork, and which reminds me, and I think we were talking about it yesterday, it reminds me a little bit of Andy Goldworthy. So somebody who works very intensively for amazing work of art that are not supposed to last. They are going to be alive, so to speak, for just a few minutes, or in your case, a few hours, and then nature takes over. Nature takes its course again and destroys it. So what remains of your art is the photograph that you made, so the documentation that you made, because the actual artwork no longer exists. Can you please explain this choice?
Yes, for sure. Goldsworthy is a reference, and but I like to think more in relation. Try to think, Eduardo Gellner transplanted the clods of earth, and in somehow he plan the unpredictable. So this is very interesting to me, also in relation, because I tried to make a kind of portrait of the landscape and the territory, and for sure there is an attraction also in the organic material and in the color of the leaves, like Goldsworthy, who made some amazing artworks for me. And but I like to think more in relation with the landscape. For example, try to think if we move this work in another place, it has not the same strength, or try to imagine this work inside a white gallery. It could be totally different. It could be totally different because it's made especially for these spaces. Because it deals with the history of the territory, and it deals also with the tribal fan.
Right. It seems to me, I mean, you graduate from the Accademia di Belle Arti di Verona, and you work, if I'm not mistaken, between Milano and other parts of Colle Euganei. So it seems to me that there's a strong also attraction to the mountains and to natural spaces. And in your presentation, how did you decide the specific site? Because also your art seems very site specific.
Yes, I would love to work in relation with a specific context, because for me it's very important also to think from the borders. For example, I was born in Colle Euganei, in a little town in Colle Euganei, and apparently has nothing to deal with contemporary art. But if we see how the inhabitants works with the territory, for example, in olive plantation or vineyard, it has a deep relation in designing the landscape, and it's very difficult to make the division of what is natural and what is not. What are the limits? What is the border between the human interaction, the project of inhabitants and the nature? It becomes just one thing, and for me it's very important also to translate this relation in natural space also in our life or our daily life. For example, choosing to work with founded materials, for example, because in studio there were not leaves to get pulverized, for example.
Right.
So I love to spend to going going around, looking, exploring new places, and understand also their complexity, because it takes me months before understanding the practice of the architect. And because in the first day I was looking at those amazing village, and I was thinking that, okay, it's great because it's inside the wood, but only then I found out that the woods came after the village, and it's so interesting for me.
Right, exactly. Now I invite also our audience, if you have any questions for Giacomo Segantin, please do write it in the chat, and feel free to ask him about his project and this specific work. I like to pose you another questions. I mean, your kind of work reminds me not just what we call land art, or specifically really like the influence, I think, of Goldworthy, but it reminds me also of arte povera, because it seems to me that, as you said, you are looking for a natural or discarded materials to create your artwork. But on the other hand, also you use very high technology instruments to record it, because your artwork, so yes, it's pulverized leaves, so it's a very natural element in a very natural setting, but yet you decided to record it on with a special technique, which is a photographic on aluminum and so forth. So it seems to me, maybe yes, you had inspiration. I don't know if it's true or not, I'm asking. If you have looked at arte povera back in the 60s, in that kind of tradition, and then you chose also to use very technological instruments to bring your artwork to life.
For sure, the history of art runs in my veins and in my heart, and my studies backgrounds deal a lot with it. And but maybe for me it's very important to create an image, and maybe here we could see some relation also with the painting. That's why it's very important to me to record and use those technical devices to record. Just think about who see really this piece, who see this installation. Me, a friend of mine who was helping me, and maybe some deers or some wild animals. But for me, it's not just the main point is not who truly see these works, but it's creating a strong images, and it's a very ambiguous images, because at first when you can see it, that this is the image,
yeah,
it's not easy to say what it is. And this curiosity also brings the observer, and I would like the observer thinking about how it's made that line, and the impossibility to separate, or maybe a fascination to the overlapping of it's a natural and organic material disposed on a geometric line, because it's very in nature it couldn't exist, this kind of aesthetics. And it's inside the detrital fan that it's probably one of the most dangerous places in which natural dynamics works, but it's in a more huge context that is designed by an architect. So this is very interesting for me. And the impossibility to make the difference between what is the human intervention and what is nature, this is the central point of my research, because I'm very interested in trying to deconstruct the illusion that the nature and the culture is separated. it works together. And this is my thought.
Thank you. I just want to, for our viewers and also future viewers, the artwork that you're seeing on the screen is actually on display at the Italian Cultural Institute, and it will be until the end of February. And then this artwork that I want you, Giacomo, to explain exactly how it's, because we just see the image right here, but the actual piece of work, which is in the gallery, and you have seen in the introductory video, will return to Venice because the this artwork has been acquired by a foundation and art a museum in Venice that has, and will become part of their permanent collection. So I invite, if anybody is connected here in Toronto or in Ontario, if you want to see the artwork of Giacomo live, please contact the Istituto. And before ending, first I want you to explain exactly what the artwork consists of. We talked about the photography, and we talked about the pigments you use, but please give us a little bit more a detailed description of the piece of art. And then my last question will be, given your interest in your philosophy and your research, what will be your next project? In which direction are you moving from progetto sassaia?
Perfect. So the piece itself, it's a fine art print made on honeymoon paper, and I choose paper because it's not shiny, so it's more natural, and this is very important for me. And it's about 1 meter long, and it's the paper is attached on a sheet of aluminum, so it's a very strong picture for me, and in somehow the dimension deals also with the content, that there is a relation between the strength, the danger of the rocky and the rocks, and the ephemeral line and the soft work, let's say that. What about my future project? I'm working here in Milan in an abandoned industrial area, and its name is Acciaierie Falk, and I will love. I'm waiting the spring.
Industrial archaeology.
Yeah, it's properly industrial archaeology because it has a long history here and shapes the territory, and this is very interesting for me. And I'm waiting the next spring because I need some flowers, and it will be a relation between metal and flowers that interesting me a lot, and always trying to describing the landscape and put in relation the organic material with the human intervention, the natural dynamics with the human culture.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Giacomo. Thank you for celebrating with us with your beautiful artwork, the Giornata del Contemporaneo. And as I said, I am glad, I'm very honored to have your artwork here in Toronto, albeit for just a brief period of time, for about 2 months. And I do hope to see it also exhibited in Venice when it will get back to Italy. And I'm looking forward to your future creation and projects. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending, and buona giornata del contemporaneo.
Thank you so much.
Grazie, a presto.
A presto.